I was sitting on a bench in Parque Lleras at 2 in the morning with everything I owned in a backpack next to me. The security guard had just told me I couldn't sleep there. I had $12 in my pocket. My phone was at 6% battery. I hadn't eaten in almost 2 days. 3 months earlier, I'd been staying in a furnished apartment in El Poblado, eating at nice restaurants, thinking I was building something real. Now I was trying to figure out where someone my age could sleep on a park bench without getting arrested or worse. I'm 56 years old. I used to teach high school history in Sacramento. Had a pension coming, a small house, a routine. I wasn't rich, but I was stable. Then I met someone online who made me feel like maybe stable wasn't enough. Her name was Valentina. She was 24, and moving to Medellín for her was the single worst decision I've ever made. Let me go back to where this started, because I need you to understand I wasn't some reckless guy looking for trouble. I was methodical. I researched, I planned, and I still lost almost everything. It started in February 2024. I was going through a divorce, 22 years of marriage, ending with paperwork and lawyers. My ex-wife got the house, I got half the retirement accounts, and about $180,000 after everything was settled. I was 54, teaching wasn't what it used to be, and I was tired. I'd put in 28 years. I could take early retirement with a reduced pension, but enough to live on if I was careful. I wasn't bitter about the divorce, we'd grown apart, but I was lonely. I started spending time online, scrolling through expat forums, places where people talked about starting over somewhere new. That's where I first heard about Medellín. Perfect weather year-round, low cost of living, a place where a teacher's pension could stretch. I joined a Colombia expat Facebook group. That's where I saw her comment on someone's post about neighborhoods in Medellín. Her name was Valentina. She was studying business administration. Her English was good. I sent her a message thanking her for the helpful information. We started talking. Nothing romantic at first, just friendly conversation about Colombia, about my idea of maybe retiring early. She told me about her life, her family, how expensive education was. There was something genuine about the way she talked. It wasn't asking for anything, just sharing. After 3 months of daily messages and video calls, I felt like I knew her. She made me laugh. She was curious about everything. And she made me feel like maybe starting over wasn't just about escaping something. In June 2024, I made the decision. I filed for early retirement, sold my half of the house, liquidated my 401k. After taxes and everything, I had $180,000. My pension would start at $2,100 a month. Not much in California, but in Medellín, I could live well and still have my savings as a safety net. I told Valentina I was coming. She was excited. Said she'd help me find an apartment, get set up, navigate the city. I bought a one-way ticket for August 15th. The night before I left, I sat in my empty apartment, looking at everything packed into 2 suitcases. I felt free for the first time in years. The flight landed at Jose Maria Cordova International Airport at 6 in the evening. Valentina was waiting at arrivals. Seeing her in person felt surreal. She was even more beautiful than in photos. But what struck me was how comfortable it felt. She helped me get a taxi, gave the driver directions to the Airbnb she'd helped me book in El Poblado. That first month was everything I'd hoped it would be. The weather was perfect. My apartment was modern, furnished, $800 a month. Valentina showed me around the city. We went to museums, parks, restaurants. She introduced me to her friends, helped me practice Spanish. I was spending maybe $2,500 a month total, and I was happier than I'd been in years. We started dating officially in September. It felt natural. She never asked me for money, never hinted at needing anything. She was working part-time at a call center while finishing her degree. but I could see the stress when she talked about tuition. One night in late September, we were having dinner at my apartment. She seemed quiet, distracted. I asked what was wrong. She hesitated, then said her university had sent a notice. If she didn't pay the remaining tuition for the semester by October 15th, she'd be dropped from her classes. How much is it? I asked. $12,000. She started crying, said she'd been working extra shifts, but it wasn't enough. Her family couldn't help. I made the decision right there. I told her I'd pay it. She refused at first, but I insisted. What's the point of having money if you can't help someone you care about? I said. I transferred the money the next day. She cried when the payment went through, hugged me, said she'd pay me back someday. I told her not to worry about it. But something shifted after that. Not dramatically, just small things. Her family started coming up in conversation more. Her mother needed a medical procedure. Her younger brother's motorcycle had broken down. Always urgent, always necessary. In November, she came to me with a bigger request. Her family's house needed repairs. The roof was leaking, the electrical wiring was dangerous. They'd been quoted $28,000. Could I help, just as a loan? I should have said no, but I was in love with her. Or maybe I was in love with feeling needed. I transferred $28,000. She showed me photos of the house, introduced me to her family. Her parents seemed genuinely grateful. The renovations took 2 months. Valentina would send me progress photos. I visited once. The house looked good. Her family invited me for dinner. I felt like I belonged. Then in January 2025, Valentina came to me with a business proposal. She'd been thinking about starting a small cafe near the university. Students needed a good place to study. She'd done market research, found the perfect location. The startup cost would be $45,000. If I invested, we could be partners. She'd run daily operations. I'd be the owner on paper. It made sense. The cafe would give me something to do. And if it was successful, it would provide income beyond my pension. I transferred $45,000 in February. The cafe opened in March. It was beautiful. Modern design, good coffee, healthy food. Valentina managed everything. Hired 2 employees. I'd visit every day, sit at a corner table. It felt good, like I'd built something real. But by May, Valentina started saying business was slower than expected. Competition was tough. We weren't covering costs. She needed more money for advertising, for better equipment. Just another $10,000. I gave her $8,000. My savings had dropped to about $70,000. I was starting to feel the weight of how much I'd spent in less than a year. The cafe struggled through June and July. Then in August, she told me we needed to close. The location wasn't working. The lease was too expensive. She'd try to get back what she could from selling equipment. I asked to see the financial records. She got defensive, said I didn't trust her after everything. I backed down. The cafe closed in September. I never saw any money from the equipment. When I asked, Valentina said everything had gone to paying suppliers. I had no way to verify that. That's when things started to fall apart. Valentina became distant, started canceling plans, said she was stressed about finding work. I was still paying $800 a month for my apartment, but my savings were down to about $60,000. My pension covered basic living, but I was burning through savings faster than I'd planned. Then in October, Valentina came to me with something different. She seemed scared, said her ex-boyfriend had found out she was dating an American. He was threatening her, her family. He knew dangerous people. She needed money to pay him off. $18,000. I didn't want to believe it, but she showed me threatening messages, photos of her family's house. I was terrified something would happen to her. I transferred the money. 2 days later, she stopped answering my calls. Her number went to voicemail. Her social media went dark. I went to the cafe location. Empty. I went to her family's house. No one answered. Neighbors said the family had moved. I went to the police. They took my information, but I could tell they weren't interested. Foreigner loses money to local girlfriend. They'd seen it 1,000 times. I never heard back. I contacted a lawyer. He said I had no case. I transferred money willingly. No contracts, no documentation proving fraud. I'd given money to someone I was in a relationship with. That wasn't illegal. By November, I was in bad shape. My savings were down to about $38,000. I'd spent over $140,000 in just over a year, and I had nothing to show for it. I tried to cut costs, move to a cheaper place, $500 a month, stopped eating out. But my pension was barely covering rent, food, utilities. I was still dipping into savings every month. I looked into going back to the United States, but I'd left my teaching job. My pension had started. Going back would mean finding work at 56, starting over in one of the most expensive states. I'd burned through most of my retirement savings. I thought about teaching English, applied to language schools. No one wanted to hire a 56-year-old with no TEFL certification and limited Spanish. I tried online tutoring, made maybe $300 a month, not nearly enough. By February 2026, my savings were down to $18,000. I'd been in Colombia for 18 months. I was spending about $1,900 a month. At that rate, I had maybe 9 months left before I was completely broke. I couldn't afford to stay, but I couldn't afford to leave either. A flight back to California was over $1,000. I'd need first and last month's rent somewhere. I didn't have it. In March, I couldn't make rent. My landlord gave me 1 week. I tried to sell everything I owned. My laptop, my phone, my clothes, got maybe $600 total. It wasn't enough. I moved out with everything I could carry in a backpack. Started staying in hostels. $12 a night in shared dorms with backpackers half my age. After a week, I couldn't afford that either. I had one last option. I'd opened a crypto account years ago, had about $2,400 worth of Bitcoin, but the platform had frozen. Some verification issue. I couldn't access it. Customer support wasn't responding. I was locked out. That's when I ended up in Parque Lleras at 2 in the morning with $12 and nowhere to go. I spent 3 nights sleeping on benches, in doorways, trying to stay invisible. During the day, I'd go to the library for Wi-Fi. At night, I'd find somewhere relatively safe and try to sleep. On the 4th night, I walked to the US consulate, waited outside until they opened, told them I needed help. I was stranded. I needed a way home. They were professional but firm. They could provide information about repatriation loans, but I'd need to qualify. They ran my information. My credit score had dropped to 510. I had outstanding debts. I didn't qualify. They suggested I contact family or friends. I tried calling my ex-wife. She hung up. I called my brother in Oregon. He said he couldn't help me. I'd made my own choices. I called 2 former colleagues. One didn't answer. The other said she couldn't afford to send money. I sat on the steps outside the consulate after they told me there was nothing more they could do. I was 56 years old, an American citizen, and I was homeless in a foreign country with no way to get back. I don't know how to explain what that feels like. Not just the physical discomfort, but the weight of understanding how completely I'd dismantled my own life. I'd had a house, a pension, savings, stability, and I'd traded all of it for a relationship that was never real. The worst part wasn't losing the money. It was the isolation. I couldn't tell anyone what had happened because I was ashamed. I'd ignored every warning sign. Eventually, I found a church that ran a shelter. They let me stay for 2 weeks. A social worker helped me contact an organization that assists stranded Americans. After 3 weeks of paperwork, They arranged an emergency travel document and a donated ticket to Los Angeles. I landed at LAX in April 2026 with the same backpack I'd left with. No money, no home. My brother let me stay on his couch in Portland for a month while I applied for jobs. I'm working retail now, stocking shelves at a grocery store for $14 an hour, living in a shared apartment with 2 roommates. I'm 56 years old and starting over from less than zero. I don't have advice for anyone watching this. I can only tell you what happened to me. I thought I was building something. I thought I was helping someone I loved. I thought I understood the risks. I didn't understand anything. And now I'm here, working a job I never imagined I'd have at this age, trying to rebuild from a collapse I designed myself. Colombia didn't do this to me. Valentina didn't do this to me. I did this to me. I made every decision. I ignored every warning, and I'm the one living with the consequences. If you've been through something similar, or if you're thinking about making decisions that feel like mine did, I don't know what to tell you except this. Loneliness makes you vulnerable in ways you don't recognize until it's too late. And once you've lost everything, getting it back isn't always possible. I lost $162,000 in 18 months. I lost my home, my stability, my retirement, and I'm one of the ones who made it back. There are others who didn't, who are still there, who don't have a way out. I don't know if I'll ever recover what I lost. Financially, probably not. At my age, working retail, I'll be lucky to have $10,000 saved by the time I'm 70. But I'm here, I'm working, and maybe that's all there is.